Guess who?
Woody Woodpecker. We meet again. Yes, folks, the Woodpecker from the 2018 live-action hybrid film is back with a new sequel that nobody asked for. Well, since that summer is over, I must review something that's summer-related. I remember reviewing the first movie a long time ago, and hated everything about it. It's not one of the worst things I ever seen, but for someone who didn't grow up with the Woody Woodpecker cartoons, I knew it was going to be bad. With its cliche story, uninteresting characters, unfunny comedy, and they made Woody the most psycho cartoon character ever, and not in a good way.
Trying to get these trespassers out of here.
This isn't what I signed up for, okay?
But hey, at least it gives current Looney Tunes voice actor Eric Bowser his first movie role. Then you got Woody Woodpecker's Going to Camp. When I first heard about this sequel, I could not believe my eyes that Universal wanted to continue this atrocity of a movie. So now that the Woodpecker is back to bring more hijinks at a summer camp, is this movie actually worse than the first film? Let's take a look. In this movie, Woody is about to get kicked out of his own home by the park ranger because he keeps terrorizing more visitors. But if he wants to stay, he has to learn the importance of teamwork. So he stumbles across a camp called Woohoo and befriends a girl named Maggie and the rest of the campers, and already become rivals with a rival camp called Hoorah, who live in the same acreland as the other camp that they both split apart. After spreading chaos that caused Camp Woohoo to shut down, Woody makes a deal with the inspector and both camp counselors that both camps should do their annual camping games. If Woohoo wins, then the camp will stay, but little do they know that an escaped prison buzzer named Buzz is using Hoorah to shut down the other camp because there's gold underneath the property that he wanted. So I'll admit, after watching this movie, I do find this to be a bit better than the first movie.
But that's not saying much.
Seriously, this movie sucks as the previous film, and it shares the same problems as before, especially the main one being that the plot is super cliche. Where the first one is about a man who wants to build a house in the forest, but Woody is making the man's hard work a living hell, while also trying to regrow his relationship with his son. The second one is about Woody helping a loser camp to win the games and learn the importance of teamwork, while the main lead human character is trying to find her purpose in the camp. What makes this a tiny bit better than the first film is that at least it's tolerable to watch, unlike the last one, which is painful to watch from beginning to end. But the thing is that while the sequel is bearable to watch, at the same time it's painfully boring. It's just a generic camp story where it's about a loser camp competing with a superior camp. They suck at first until they find a way to get to the top. To be fair, the movie did try one thing that the first film didn't: adapt the cartoon. Well, sort of. While writing the script, I realized that both of these movies remind me a lot of Disney's Inspector Gadget, where the first movie has nothing to do with the source material, but the second film did, but still couldn't adapt it well. And let me tell you, Inspector Gadget 2 is much better than Woody going to Camp Boo-Hoo. The way how they adapted to the cartoon is by adding other characters from the franchise, but if you're like me who never saw the cartoon, you'll find it very confusing. Another issue is that Woody isn't much of a main character. Sure, he has a goal of learning about teamwork if he wants to keep his home, but for the most part, all he does is tell jokes and being his crazy self. But at least he's not as annoying as he was in the last film, such as keep breaking the fourth wall and being a complete psychopath. But that doesn't mean he's funny. And speaking of that, this movie is not funny at all. It's not even trying. The jokes are pathetic and they don't make a lick of sense. Heck, some of them are a miss of an opportunity. There's this one joke where Buzz stuffs a couple of pies with hot sauce, and I thought that has to be funny. There's no way they can't actually screw this up. But Woody swoops in and eats all the pies. I mean, come on, I wanted to see the kid's reaction of eating spicy dessert. But going back to the characters, the humans are not much better. They clearly look like they don't want to be there, especially the kids. And I do mean all of them. Whenever they're on screen, it feels like they were bored out of their minds and didn't want to have some fun while the camera is rolling. The adult actors are the only ones who actually tried, but even they knew this movie was going to be generic, so why even bother putting in effort? They all just have generic personalities. You got two nerdy kids, the goth girl, the tree-hugging boy, and two tough bullies who are pointless bullies like the one from the last film, but in girl form. Then you got the main girl that Woody befriends with, Maggie, who doesn't know what purpose she serves in her group. Like before, you don't care about a single one of these characters since we already know what they'll learn in the end. As for the two new characters who are from the cartoon, well, since I had never seen the cartoon, my first impression on these two are pretty much typical cartoon characters. Buzz the Buzzard is the villain who is trying to take Woody and the camp down with his weapons to find the gold, and Wally Warris is a goofy tubby camp inspector and referee. While I don't think the effects and animation in this movie are bad, but I don't know if I find it better or worse than the last film. I mean, I know this is a low-budget Netflix movie, but this looks so inconsistent. It looks half-render, and there are parts in the movie where the animated characters don't look like they're actually there. Woody looks the same as he was before, but I think Buzz has the best design with decent textures, and he does look like his 2D counterpart from the cartoon. But Wally is the most unappealing character to look at. But hey, he does look like a walrus unlike his original design, which looks nothing close to a walrus. So is there anything I like in this movie? I guess the voice acting is decent, and some of the slapstick is a bit entertaining. That's pretty much it. I was so bored of watching this movie, I couldn't find one thing that I actually like. In fact, I don't have anything else to say. Woody Woodpecker Goes to Camp is an unnecessary sequel to an unnecessary adaptation. A predictable and boring plot, bland characters, and bland comedy. I appreciate that they tried to be like the cartoon, but only a few brief moments. It was so boring, it made me rather watch Fred 3 Camp Fred instead. Hell, I find that movie to be a lot better than this. At least in Camp Fred, stuff actually happens despite it also having a cliche camp story. This is just a waste of time. I don't know who up there at Netflix or Universal thought this was a good idea. No one asked for a sequel to a forgotten flick that was only released in theaters in Brazil. This should have been released as a $5 DVD that you'll find in a bargain bin. No shock, this movie is gonna get the Dark Star medal. So if you guys seen Woody Woodpecker Goes to Camp, tell me what you think in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and if there's any animated movies or shows you guys want me to talk about, then let me know in the comments as well. See you next time!